Greetings everyone, my name is Etterville and welcome back to my Let's Play of Mega Man 3D. I apologize for the delay between this part and the last part, but real life intervened. Anyways, in the last part, I defeated Crash Man, Beat Man, and Flash Man. And in this part, I'll be taking on the 3 toughest Robot Masters, at least in my opinion. So now let's return to the northern part of the base, which we were at the beginning, and I'm going to the west to go to the place which I originally ignored. And judging from the familiar music, this is Bubble Man's stage. Now, the reason why I didn't want to go to this stage the second, right after Needle Man, was because of the Bubble Man himself, who is quite tough because of his certain abilities. But we'll get to him when we get to that. Anyways, pick up this weapon energy just laying around there. Weapon upgrade to be specific. And the main gimmick of the stage is the water decreasing the amount of gravity you have. And of course, and certain other gimmick we'll get to soon enough. This was reused in Gemini Man's stage, who we'll be seeing up next. Just jump on top of these pillars and make sure not to fall. In this stage, it's not too risky to fall in the water, as it's not instant death, although it's kind of tedious later on having to go all the way back, as the water slows down your movement. The best way to traverse in the water is by jumping repeatedly, or of course, just by using the quick boost from Quick Man. Though it's kind of cheating for doing it the second. So I'm gonna use it sparingly from here on out, just so I can showcase more of the stage, instead of skipping most of it. Also, the 3D movement of this game, especially with the camera, makes it a little bit tricky to make these jumps, especially dodging these Sniper Joes, which I decided to refuse to tank. Anyways, here I decided to go off the normal path and decide to take this route in order to get a life upgrade. Just climb over here and use the quick boost. And boom, here's a life upgrade. Jump on top of this pillar and get out. Be warned though, do not get close to those, otherwise they'll explode. When you're at when you don't have the armor upgrade, they take quite a chunk of your health away. Especially at lower levels, or when you don't have most of the life upgrades. Here's where we have the moving platforms. There's a weapon energy upgrade there, which I decided to skip the jumping. Also, the most annoying enemy of the stage, which we'll repeat later on. Those jellyfish's bullets home into you. Not really home into you, but they home into your current location. So they're kind of like they're better Sniper Joes basically. Considering Sniper Joes can only fire at your current elevation, whereas Ds can fire at your upper elevation. If you're above the jellyfish, they'll aim at you, and if you're below them, they'll just drop mines. So they're quite annoying and a pain to take care of without a stronger weapon. Miscalculated my jump there. By hitting that switch, I open this door here. There's another gauntlet room where we have to destroy all these enemies. Over here I decided to use the flamethrower, as it seems to be more effective against these. Though, like I said earlier, I'm not going to be using that much as it causes quite a bit of audio annoyances. As much as I find this to be, well, relatively average a 3D Mega Man game, 3D Mega Man fan game, as if there are that many left there, other than Mega Man 8-bit Deathmatch, which I can think of at the top of my head. It's kind of one of its own flaws. It's quite one of the annoyances about audio appearances. You can also see it with the spread shot repeating the same sound effect over and repeatedly, or 5 times at the same time, as well as Gemini Laser once we get it sounding quite annoying. Basically, the sound balancing has some issues, bluntly. Anyways, I picked up the weapon energy upgrade. Now, I could just jump from here to here and go to the door, or as I'll just show right here, you can hit this switch which will raise the water level, which is the second gimmick of the stage. Go back here, jump on this platform, and jump up. Because the water, you'll be able to make that jump. Below there's a minefield. Normally there's quick boost over there, but I'm gonna get this life tank, or E-tank, and slowly make my way back. Like I said, I don't recommend this stage mainly because of those jellyfish homing in you, as well as all these mines. So it's quite. Those mines are very deadly when you take this as your first or second stage, and without the armor upgrade or armor ability, you're easy pickings basically. We'll be seeing these jellyfish enemies soon enough again. And as you saw there, I glitched through the walls. This is another awkward thing about the game's collision detection and how the 3D engine works. In the extras, I'll be showing you another funny thing we can do with this in conjunction with Quick Boost. Anyway, scouting out the area, I have to get that switch over there. Now normally, which I'm showing right here, I can just climb up these blocks, and this will take me to the scenic route of getting here. Or we could do Quick Boost over. Really though, with how much I'm mentioning Quick Boost, I would say it's the most broken utility item in the game, and most useful ability. Next to, I would say it, armor, as well as the missiles are the best abilities in this game. In terms of special weapons. In terms of infinitely used weapons, well, I would say the metal blades, flamethrower, and the Gemini laser, which we'll be getting soon enough, are the best weapons, best normal weapons to be using in this game. The spread shot, except in the last portion of the game, but we'll be getting to that in the next part after this. But essentially, the Mega Buster is completely outclassed by these 4 weapons, and there's really no point of using the Mega Buster. If you really wanted a non-elemental shot, just use the spread shot. And other utility items or special weapons you can get, they're okay, but they really pale in comparison to these. Anyways, here's Bubble Man, who is much tougher than his original incarnation. He fires a flurry of bullets. He can deploy a shield which will block your shots, or 10 of your shots, and then after a while he'll jump up and drop several mines, which can hurt a ton without the certain abilities. Which is why I'm using the flamethrower here, as it can just quickly destroy his shield. And I'm trying to tank his mostly shots. And of course, his bullets can somewhat home into me as well. And boom, down he goes. And by defeating him, we get the bubble shield, which, in comparison to all abilities, I consider it to be one of the worst ones. It creates a stationary shield which blocks 10 shots before disappearing. The problem is it doesn't move at all, and because of that and how much movement there is in this game, it really isn't a good weapon or utility, though I do find one use for it in the next boss fight. Anyways, time to go back to the central teleport hub and go east. We got Crashman's weapon, and as Dr. Light was saying earlier, we need Crashman's weapon to blow up these blocks, aka the missiles. And over here I made a slight error and forgot to have enough weapon energy. Now I could have just used one of my E-tanks, or pretty much weapon tanks, to refill my weapon energy, but I really want to save all of them for the final area. Also showcased here is that you can hurt yourself with missile explosions. At this point I realized I didn't have enough, so I pretty much had to walk back and grind up with those jumpers to regain weapon energy. But really though, considering how many E-tanks and L-tanks that this game gives you, especially at the start where you start out with 6 of each, you shouldn't really run out of health that much. You keep forgetting to mention, but when you die, your health and weapon energy get restored to a default amount. Now, it isn't too much of a problem at the beginning, but later on when you have a lot of health or weapon energy, you really need to grind up a bit in order to restore all of it. Of course, this is also mitigated by the fact that this game doesn't have any life system. You pretty much have infinite lives, but you don't start out with max life and or weapon energy, like the original Mega Man games. At least for the life energy. So keep that in mind. Though at this point, I pretty much have at least 10 of each. That is W and E tanks. Also, the team playing in the ground is Top Man's team. I love Metal Blade's buff for here. It seems to be to do less damage, but being able to fire infinite number of shots, as well as being able to ricochet them off the wall is pretty fun. Though in extras I'll have to do a test if I can just use if I can use the auto fire for the and mash the space key over and over to get even more infinite shots. I wonder if that would break, how much it would break the game, if possible. At this point I decided to just ignore most of those floating platforms and just skip all of this. Overall though, in comparison with the other fan games, this is, well, rather average, mainly because of its sound assets, sound, music, and level design. As the levels are quite short, I mean, if you really want to speedrun them, it only takes about 2 to 3 minutes tops, if you try. Whereas normal Mega Man games, well, they do take 2 to 3 minutes, but they're a little bit more difficult. I kind of feel as if the main difficulty of this game comes from the camera, and not really the enemies themselves, but the stage hazards. Though that may be also due to the fact that the stage hazards, aka bottomless pits and spikes, are instant death, whereas the enemies' attacks are kind of mitigated by the fact of the armor ability as well as your life and weapon abilities. Anyway, time to go after Gemini Man, which seems to be infested by organic algae, aka those circular blobs. They're not too risky as they don't shoot at you, but their main danger is them homing into you. And here's a repeat of the water gimmick found in Bubble Man's stage. But here, as we'll discover after the next screen, it's much more devious. But going back to my point, the main source of difficulty in this game isn't really the enemies themselves. It's much more disproportionate to the instant death traps, aka those being spikes, as well as the bottomless pits. Sure, the force beams and Quickman stage are very dangerous, but with armor ability, they quickly lose their tread potential, that is. Which is kind of departs from the whole Mega Man game, where the enemies and bosses, as well as the stage houses, are all equally dangerous in their own senses. Like I said, I think that there was too much emphasis on the weapon and life upgrades and not putting enough effort into matching up the enemies with the player's upgraded strength. Though this is somewhat solved near the final boss, but really for the rest of the game it isn't really solved, so it results in a kind of a very strange difficulty curve. Really though, you can make the game harder or easier than you wish, depending on how many upgrades you use as well as what weapons you use. I would say though, the weapons are, at least the mainline weapons, the ones that don't require weapon energy use, are pretty balanced in what they do. Metal Blade fires metal blades, and they can ricochet. Spread Shot fires 5 spread bullets. And the Flamethrower fires a short-range flamethrower, which actually does the most damage in a sense. And the next one, which I'll show in a while, the Gemini laser, it fires a spreadable laser which we can curve, which I'll show off soon. And of course the trusty Mega Buster. The Spread Shot does have its uses, which we'll see in at the absolute final area, because the other trees are elemental. But overall, this fan game is to me quite average. But the reason why I kind of like it so much is because, unlike Mega Man 8-bit Deathmatch or any other fan game, I don't see any other 3D Mega Man fan games other than the Deathmatch. Sure, there's Mega Man 2.5, but that's not really 3D. It's 2.5D, which is great, but I really want some classic Mega Man games in 3D. Not Mega Man Legends, but something more of this style. I know lierinwait made a sequel to this, which I will be covering in the future, just to see how much he improved. And boy, he did improve in quite a few factors, especially in smoothing out the difficulty curve. But I do like the fact that it's quite a Metroidvania-esque and you can tackle the levels in almost any order, minus this one and some others. Anyways, here's where the stage gets quite devious with the water gimmick. Bottomless pits. I can't tell you how many countless times I've died in there during test runs, as was my first run. Especially the fact you can clip through these blocks and fall through them into the abyss. So at this point, I decided to play extremely cautiously and slowly move my way forward. And slowly move my way forward. I suspected there was a life upgrade right over here, but I really didn't want to make a blind jump into my doom, as I did several dozen times. Like I said earlier in Heatman stage, as well as the previous stage, one of the main enemies of this game is also the camera itself. As here, it's kind of hard to tell where the bottomless pits are, other than the black spots. Also, here's one of the few uses of radial flash. It's not, I would say it's the second most useless, next to the bubble shield. Anyway, with some perseverance, you'll be able to cross this. Make sure you get Quickman's weapon though to ease up the parts, especially here. At this point, I also realized I ran out of weapon energy, so I pretty much have to wait for all these blobs to come to me. And there we go, large weapon energy. Just made sure if I had any more. Nope. At this point, I decided to cross slowly. At this point, I think you can cross by jumping over, but as I said, I didn't want to take any risks at this point. I was so far into the stage, I decided to be very careful, make this one jump, and decided to quick boost all the way from here. And here's Gemini Man, one of the more unique bosses of this stage, of the game. He fires his Gemini laser, and after a while he splits up into, he creates a clone of himself, which copies one of the previous Robot Master's abilities. The red one copies Heatman's flamethrower ability, the green one fires metal blades at you, copying Metal Man's ability. And the reddish one over there copies Crash Man's ability. Now, you can destroy the clones, but he'll keep creating them until you defeat him. At this point I decided to show the bubble shield, just blocking all those shots, about 10 of them, and done. Really, I don't really find any use for it unless you're fighting a stationary boss, or for speed runs. But yeah, if you destroy one of those clones, they'll drop either a life energy or weapon energy. Or, of course, you can kill him and will destroy all of them. And now we get equipped by a Gemini laser, which is one of the best long-range abilities out of Mega Man's arsenal. It fires a long-range laser which can be bent by which direction you're pointing at, or turning the camera. The reason why I like it so much is because of the long trail, which can mean you can double damage enemies. Anyways, time to go after the last Robot Master of the 10. Here's a surface mine. And of course, this one is where things get a little bit odd, because if you just listen to the music, you would think it's Gravity Man you're facing as the Robot Master. But nope, it's not Gravity Man. This suffers from the same, I don't want to say suffer, that's the wrong word. This has the same syndrome as Crash Man's, not Crash Man. Well, Crash Man's and Napalm Man's stage. Both Crash Man and Napalm Man's stages don't have their original Steam Music remix. They actually have different teams. So yeah, I find it kind of strange. And just by looking at it, you would think that this stage is based off of some sort of ground Robot Master or Air Robot. Air is sort of correct, but we'll get to him. Now, this is by far what I consider, in my opinion, the hardest of all stages. Mainly because almost all of the stages are bottomless pit, or careful platform jumping. So many deaths during the test runs. I would say at this stage, quick boost is a must, especially for traversing quickly, as well as saving yourself from falling into the abyss. There's little, I don't want to say little margin of error, but out of all the stages, this has the least margin of error. You have to be very precise with your jumps, otherwise you'll lose. Also, this has one of the more annoying enemies, these flies. They don't really damage you much, but they're kind of hard to aim individually, which is why I like the Gemini laser so much, because it bends, makes it much more easy to hit. I do like the remix of Gravity Man team, though. Also, I do like the verticality of this stage. It's one of the most vertical of all of them, and all these layers do help create a sense of depth. Though I really wish they with lierinwait put more detail into the more floors. As it stands right now, only the top floors have the most detail. Top being the ones that are top, those being the farthest from the bottom split. These pink barriers will disappear after a while. You can only cross them when they're on, obviously. Otherwise, if you do it when they're disappearing, fall into the abyss. Thankfully, though I'm thankful for a lot for the fact that there's no knockback in this game. You can tank as many bullets as you want, but you'll never be knocked back. Only thing you'll have is your invincibility. Though it seems like the invincibility frames Mega Man has are considerably less compared to the original NES games. So it's a worthwhile trade-off. Less invincibility frames with less knockback. If there was knockback in this game, several stages would be much more difficult, painful to go through. But thankfully they aren't. Also, kind of funny though, but life and energy pickups don't seem to fall into the abyss. They float in midair, whereas if you fall, you will fall true. And here's the final room. And just like most other times, those cylindrical canisters will keep releasing tallies infinitely until you destroy them. And here's the more difficult version of this, especially when coupled with the camera. These pink blocks now have spaces between them, so you have to jump again like temporary platforms. And there's a switch block over there which we need to activate. I just wanted to clear out these flies so I quickly didn't get murdered, have my life drained so quickly. Maybe though, if you take the stage slow and steadily, you should be able to get through this fine and dandy. Though, like I said earlier, I strongly suggest you have quick boost. And if you really wanted the armor upgrade, or armor ability, so you could take half damage. Just waiting to take that E-tank. Alright, got all the pickups. Now it's time to go after... Wait. Always look left and right. Always. Anyways, time to go after the boss. Here he is, Tornado Man. Or... Never man that fires tornadoes at you. Or... And after a while, he'll create a mega tornado towards you, which to destroy you have to repeatedly shoot at. But the only way you can destroy is you have to jump and shoot him at the part of the tornado he's in. Otherwise it won't work. And to demonstrate, do it as quickly as possible. Otherwise it takes much more hits to actually hit him properly. The reason why I use the Gemini laser for this is because it pierces. I just wanted to demonstrate how big it becomes. Now, if you let it become too big, then Tornado Man will rise up to the top, meaning that you have to jump on top of these platforms in order to hit him properly. Boom. Apparently, Tornado Man's tornado bends the shocks. But other than that, he's done. And now we get equipped with the final utility item, the floating platforms. This is the last necessary utility item, coupled with the quick boost, in order to get all the other upgrades. This allows you to create platforms that float in midair and allow you to ride on top of them, though they're only temporary, so keep that in mind. With this, now we've defeated all Robot Masters, collected all their abilities, and can now collect every single weapon, life, energy upgrade, as well as all the E and L tanks, whatever left of them there are. Anyways, thanks for watching, viewers. Next part I'll do item collection and probably move on to the finale. Thanks for watching, viewers. Doodles!